Hello everyone, my name is Noah Chen, and I'm a reporter for Natural Awakenings Atlanta. Since February is Valentine's month, we thought it would be fun to ask the question, what is something couples can do to grow together rather than apart? And who better to ask than some relationship experts? So that's exactly what we did. Appearing in today's video is going to be Dr. David Woodsfellow. He's the director of the Woodsfellow Institute for Couples Therapy. You'll also be hearing from Dr. Bob Patterson. He, along with his wife Wendy Patterson, founded P2 Partnerships. Finally, you'll be hearing from Dr. David Raque and his wife Susan-Todd Raque. And together they have a practice, and it's just their names. Since we have these relationship experts together, I thought it would also be fun to ask them their opinions on some cliches I've heard about relationships throughout my time. For instance, never go to bed angry. Is this actually a good idea? Well, I certainly don't have the answer to these questions, so let's go to the interview.
Okay, that's a good question. One is learn how to dialogue. But usually what we're doing is two monologues at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to get my point across, and you're trying to get your point across at the same time. And usually that ends up in the wheels falling off and nobody feeling heard or understood. I mean, that's what everybody wants, is just to feel connected and that their partner has their back, their partner can understand or get where they're coming from. And you rarely can get there if your main agenda is to be right. You know, we say you can be right or you can be in a relationship, but you know, you can't, it's hard to do both at the same time.
So we try to say, okay, turn towards your partner when you have an issue, no matter how small, because the small things oftentimes that a person will minimize grow and grow and grow into bigger things. And so we turn toward. And then the other thing is then is managing conflict, skills to manage conflict. And you know, that means one thing for sure, which is compromise. And oftentimes couples have a real hard time compromising, because when you compromise, both people give up something and both people get something.
And I would add that one of the things that I like to point out is that people go into a marriage or are in a marriage thinking that it's always 50-50. It's never 50-50. It's 60-40. It's 70-30. It's 30-70. It's 90-10. You know, it's always changing, and there's got to be give and take. It's never always one person or one way. So it's helping people understand we're all human and that we have to learn to compromise and work together.
So the answer I'm going to give depends on a little bit of research. And the research is what makes a good, happy marriage. And the person who did the most research on this topic is John Gottman. And his answer was a sound relationship house. And the house was a metaphor for some different levels: a foundation, some floors, a roof. So to summarize, security, friendship, intimacy, teamwork, purpose. Those are the 5 parts of a happy marriage. So the proactive move is to be proactive on any or all of those.
What I see is that the emphasis is on getting engaged, getting married, all the parties, all the, you know, the expense, and there's very little thought given to, okay, the day after the honeymoon and we're home, what happens next? And that's where a little bit of disillusionment starts to come into the relationship. And then when things start falling apart, I don't think people want to admit, hey, you know, after all of that, and you gave all these, we had this wonderful wedding, something's going on, and there's something that's not well in our relationship.
Well, there's 2 reasons, a good one and a bad one. The good one is some people don't need it. The bad reason is not so good, and it's kind of denial avoidance. So some people just are aware of problems, but don't do anything about them.
Okay. Well, at least our approach to premarital counseling is to help a couple build a solid foundation for the future. And we do that through building a relationship vision that kind of can serve as a magnet for a couple about what will draw them into the future together. That as well as providing the requisite skills to manage the inevitable power struggles or conflicts that are going to be part of any committed relationship.
I think in the perfect relationship, that would be great, but there's no perfect.
Mhm.
So I think there are times when Susan and I have gone to bed mad.
Yeah.
But I think the more important thing is that don't let it go on more than the next morning or the next, in other words, don't let it go on. Don't let it fester. Don't let it become sour.
And I think that's where active listening and having a dialogue when you've had a disagreement, and sometimes people need a little time out from each other. They need to go to each other's corners and sort of think about it. And usually just thinking about it, you begin to realize, maybe I had a little something to do with the problem.
Right.
And so you can come back and you can sit down and you can talk about it in a way that you're both listening to each other. You're not saying you agree, but that you agree to disagree and move on.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, that goes back to the curiosity part. Who's there now, right? Because we change over time, and maybe when we have that date or we have that special time together, we do get to know more about who's there and to appreciate who's there.
And there you have it. It turns out some things are cliches because they're true, and the secret to a happy relationship is love, respect, and communication. If you'd like to learn more about any of these counselors, you can do so at the links below. Alright, that about does it for today's video. I've been Noah Chen with Natural Awakenings Atlanta, and I'll see y'all in the next one.